Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our second show of Crypto Talks here with Sergio Chaverri, one of my best friends. I'm sitting in Dominical today. Sergio, where are you located today?
Hi, David. Good morning. I'm here in Santana, in San Jose.
Great. All right. We've both been traveling a lot. I've been a little sick for the past week or so, a lot of little things going on, but it's good to talk to you again. I know the holidays are right around the corner here from us, so it's kind of, welcome. Happy holidays to you and the family as well.
Thank you. And yes, happy holidays. And it's great to close the year talking a bit about the crypto, sharing knowledge. So happy to be in the second episode.
Yeah. For you that are joining in for our first time here, Sergio and I are going to be doing talks all year long this year. Him and I are very involved in the different crypto markets and escrows in Costa Rica that involve dealing with purchasing land or just transferring crypto to do different things. And so, we're really up to date on different markets, decentralized systems, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, let's jump in today. The first question I had today was I wanted to kind of get into the market going into 2026. Costa Rica has long since been a politically stable environment focused on major different players coming in from companies like Intel and things like that. As we move into 2026 in the crypto market, what do you see countries like Costa Rica what big changes do you see coming down the line?
Yes, no, it's funny because in fact I was in a family office meeting yesterday, and we were discussing about that. There's a shift in Latin America regarding the political ideology, because we have been shifting from left to right, and in the case of Costa Rica, it has been very stable. I see that Latin American, let's call it from the macro point of view, is seeing better because of regarding investments and everything. And Costa Rica keeps like the most stable country from a political environment. It's important to remember that we have here one of the five blue zones. My business partner, for example, from London, he was in a Dubai event, and people were talking about a crypto, longevity, blue zones, and we are lucky that we are in Nicoya with one of the five. So those factors combined make people always see Costa Rica as one of the best choice for investment in general. Of course, real estate, like we were discussing in the last episode, high net worth individual tourism has been growing, and this is the one of the reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I personally see Costa Rica becoming a strategic neutral hub for many companies to start coming in. I mean, I think that in 2026 we're going into an election year. I see some big changes coming down the line. You and I have already seen some major companies connecting with us about exchanges and maybe opening in Costa Rica. There's still a pretty tight atmosphere of how crypto is accepted in Costa Rica and through the banking systems and things like that. But I think that we're starting to see a lot more openness. I think over the last, I'd say 6 to 8 months, I've seen about probably six new escrow companies in Costa Rica that are certified by SUHEF, and they're mentioning that they're starting to accept crypto out of the US or out of the UK or different places to come in that could actually purchase land in Costa Rica. And then you're also seeing the knocking on the door of different companies that are saying, hey, we're really interested in coming to an environment like Costa Rica, because a lot of them have spent some time in El Salvador, which has also become a really big hub. But in comparing to El Salvador, which I've also done business and been to the conferences there and things like that going on, and I think it's just the mechanism there's creating. I still think Costa Rica, being my home country and yours as well, we're light years ahead of anywhere in Central America or Latin America right now for the stability of what's going on here. I mean, everywhere in Costa Rica is a stable market if you stretch down from the Osa Peninsula all the way up to the Papagayo region. And so I really think the climate is gonna change for us coming into 2026 as we see. Right now we're seeing a little bit of call it a dip in the Bitcoin market or Ethereum and things like that, and in the different tokens. But I feel, at least all my indicators, we're going to see a huge bump coming into like maybe February, March, and our first quarter coming in. I don't know what you feel about all that and the longevity of where Costa Rica holds with it.
Yes, look, I always use this example. For example, you're buying properties, you're building a real estate portfolio. Point one, El Salvador regarding crypto regulation, it's very advanced. Not only crypto, but also tokenization. In tokenization, El Salvador is one of the leading countries globally regarding the registry connection with the token. In Costa Rica, we are behind regulation by far compared to El Salvador. However, best example is Costa Rica. There's an election in a couple of months, and we don't know if there will be continuity with the actual government, with the actual party, or there will be a change. But even if there's a big change, nothing will happen. And this is the best way to show the stability. In El Salvador, everybody happy. There's a lot of changes. Bukele, in my opinion, is doing an amazing job. But what if Bukele goes away
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
other counterparty get into the power again as an administration? So that there's when you think, oh, okay, so now there's a lot of questions. So that's the best way to describe stability here. And this is why I see a huge increase in for 2026 here in Costa Rica, because you have the US, for example, working a lot regarding crypto regulation, incentivizing companies, everything. El Salvador doing their thing, they're doing an amazing job. But Costa Rica with the stability, and also probably regarding the regulation, the biggest challenge is compliance in terms of some financial institutions, banks, really don't understand crypto or blockchain compliance. Once they start to understand that, they start to say, okay, so it's even easier. I'm able to go deeper than in traditional transactions. So this is why I see a lot of potential around here.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. I think that, one of the things you just mentioned was compliance and how things are happening. I mean, Costa Rica has become one of the, I don't want to use the word hardest, but I think one of the most detailed systems when you're buying a property or you're doing anything in Costa Rica. Bringing money into Costa Rica is, if you're coming from the US or Canada, you're having to produce tax, forms, you're having to produce where that money sat for the last 8 months or so. I mean, there's a lot of regulation and really strict regulation on how that money's coming in. And so I think that the banks are starting to have to open up with that, as well as that's introducing right now new lending in Costa Rica. So we have a lot of different private companies that have come in, like Volo loans and things like that, that are offering 30-year loans in Costa Rica, which is the first time we've ever had that. I mean, we have lending in Costa Rica, but it's been traditionally really high from the local banks. And so as you see property prices go up, because I think one thing that Costa Rica, coming from the real estate world, is that prices have gone up. I mean, because Costa Rica, in my point of view, is still very reasonable in most markets, but you do have that high net worth individual in areas like the Papagayo region, in areas like in Flamingo, where homes are going into that $2, $3, $4 million range now. And there's never been a lending source to be able to do that. And so one thing that I've seen, or the conversations that I've been involved in recently, and I think it's a really good open door for developers, is the idea of tokenization with these larger properties, where you could actually fractionalize shares of a property or something like that in an easier manner, right? So there's mechanisms that you could actually tokenize a house, let's say for easy use of words, and you have people that only come down for, call it, a month or two at a time, and they could actually buy a fraction of that house via a tokenization project, and then buy another one maybe in the southern zone and the northern zone, and then stretch that out to somewhere in Mexico, different areas. There's a company that in the United States called Picasso that's been doing that, but not with token, but in the sense of buying fractional of a shares of, I call it. They don't use the word fraction; it's a little different, but they buy fractional high net worth homes, $20 million homes, and then you're getting sources. And I think that this is something I'm starting to see a knock on our door in the real estate world, and something that we're going to be really communicating with our developers all around Costa Rica right now, because there's a lot of developmentals happening where they're doing, smaller communities based upon green zones, based upon areas like that. But now they're looking for different ways for people to come in. And being that crypto has been so accepted via, in El Salvador, in Europe, in different areas, I do really think there's a great market for that in Costa Rica because of the stability. What have you seen through your family office that you're dealing with, of people coming from like the UK or other areas, when they look at Costa Rica? Are they looking for more of business investment, or are they looking for more entrepreneurial? Are they looking for more real estate investment on bigger farms to do developments, or just kind of protecting lands and reserve projects? Or what are you seeing?
I mean, Costa Rica is always seen like a green country. So it's usually second or third home. Real estate is the at least the first thing they do regarding portfolio diversification. Once they come here, once they, of course, in the coast, in places like you mentioned, like Papagayo, Nosara, Dominical, this type of places. Once they start to get used to, then they start thinking about investment. I have some families, U.S. families that has been also considering what they call the second family office from Costa Rica, because you're able to manage a more effective a more effective tax strategy with a Costa Rican SPV, because as you know, here in Costa Rica, there's no global taxation compared to the US. So you're able to, once you do the financial engineer, like they call, then they are more open to do local investments, like in, for example, in startups or some specific projects in Santa Teresa. Santa Teresa, more than the real estate boom and the crypto market that is there, there are some really, really interesting technology projects and startups growing from there. So that would be the way to explain that. And the second important thing, when you were talking about lending, now that for example, the Bitcoin price, at least now we're at the moment we are recording this podcast, is around $86,000. So now we say it's a it's a low price, but what people has been doing is getting access to liquidity with Bitcoin back loans. So people are telling me, hey, it's a low price. I'm not changing my Bitcoin, but I'm finishing this real estate transaction. So they are doing Bitcoin backed loans. Over the last is 5 to 8 weeks, this has been the most common transaction we have done. Bitcoin backed loan. They don't sell their Bitcoin, but they access the liquidity to buy their real estate.
Yeah. So in other words, for our viewers out there, I mean, he's mentioning that, and it's been a very common practice for us as well. You're right, is that since it's a lower at Bitcoin, they're banking on the fact that they're going to pay a higher percentage on the interest rate, but it's at, let's call it 88,000 right now. But come February, we're going to be looking back up in the hundreds or somewhere right there. So they're going to make that difference in the interest as it comes back up in the market as well. So I agree with you. I mean, it's interesting to see though how many more people are actually doing that, like you said, to finish out a construction process in Guanacaste. I know you and I have had a couple clients recently, one that was building a house in Guanacaste in Pinilla that decided to take a loan and do that there as well. We've had other clients that are purchasing, for example, buildings to do pickleball courts, so crypto is allowing a lot of infrastructure to happen in a market where inflation has been quite high, actually, and people have also been a little bit restricted in what they're spending. The crypto market has allowed for people to kind of get more money out, and we've seen an influx of money coming in. I mean, if you look at the amount of volume that we did over the last year, I mean, let's touch a little bit on those numbers for our clients. I mean, I think over the last year, volume wise, through the escrow company that you and I are associated with DigiPlat, what would you say more sense volume we did?
Before entering into that, something super important, just to close the last topic, is the taxable event. Because if they get a loan with their Bitcoin, they are not taxable. So that's also that high net
True,
worth
true.
individual family offices are looking. One of the main reasons they're looking into that, because of the taxable event,
Yeah, can you
to
let's
avoid it.
let's touch on that. Let's touch on it a little bit further. Why is it not taxable for everybody's out there?
Because they are not in, I mean, their capital gains hasn't happened, and they are not selling the asset. They are basically getting liquidity. For example, someone like Elon Musk, what he do is he get loans through back by his Tesla shares. In that scenario, this is a practice that has been happening with other type of assets. If Elon Musk puts his Tesla shares, get a loan with JP Morgan, there's no taxable event. If he
Exactly.
sells his shares, there's a taxable event. So as you could imagine, lots of family offices, sophisticated investors, high net worth individuals find a way to be more effective regarding taxes.
Beautiful. Yeah. No, thanks for explaining that further. So it's key for people. A lot of people don't understand that process, and that we can actually do it with cryptocurrency as well. We can assist in that process. So
Yes, yes, absolutely. Regarding some numbers, for example, about 2025 here in Costa Rica, we have done over 50 transactions with a volume of more than 100 million. The biggest transaction, real estate related, around 15 million dollars. The smallest around $300,000. Just to give you some numbers.
Yeah, and the numbers, I mean, like I said, we can do as low as 50,000 if we have to. So it's a good conversation. The idea is that the door is open and there's multiple resources. So that's all right. Well, I don't want to keep you too
And
long today. I mean, I always appreciate. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, no, that the most important message, David, and for the people that see these episodes is that there are things happening. It's not, hey, we believe that crypto is coming to Costa Rica. We think it's a great idea. No, every week or every other week, we are enabling real estate transactions with crypto where the seller receive funds in the bank accounts he needed in Costa Rica, in the US, in Panama. So that's the most important message. And I see that increasing a lot in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, the idea behind this podcast that you and I have talked about is that, with your 30-year term, my 28 years in Costa Rica, and the information we have behind us through the organizations, through Coal Banker, through your home office company, things like that, is where we're bringing to the table new information that's coming on a consistent basis that most people don't have. And we want people to understand that this is not the Wild West anymore. It's a new market, right? Which kind of leads me into my closing question for you today, which is, you know, as our market matures into 2026, do you think crypto is going to have a branding problem in Costa Rica, or do you think we're going to have the opportunity to align with countries like El Salvador and things like that to really grow at a stronger pace coming the next presidential election year that's going to happen? Come into the next 4 years, we're going to see things like that. In my gut feeling, I do feel it. I think there's a lot, at least in the conversations I'm having and the different groups I'm meeting with you and with aside from you, is that I'm really seeing the openness and the push to see this really start taking off in a market where, I'll use the word, we can become almost the Singapore, let's call it, technology hub of Central America, which I really feel Costa Rica has a huge potential. What's your opinion on this?
Yes, we have all the elements to become like a Singapore. There's an important event, the presidential election in February. I believe that the candidates in general or the new administration will take the example of the US and regulate the crypto industry because they will see that that's the missing piece. I already was invited by a couple of candidates just to share knowledge. The idea. I'm also very positive regarding regulations and what we see in 2026. Because remember that we as Costa Rica always follow the lead of the US,
Yep,
and
exactly.
that lead is super crypto friendly.
Yeah, which I mean relates to the real estate market, which relates to crypto market. Interest rates, when interest rates are lower, we see a lot more cash flow coming to Costa Rica. When crypto's up, we see a lot more coming in as well. So I think, yeah, I agree with you. We're always, I call it the 1 year delay. We're kind of behind it, right? And I think that we're starting to see that change. So all right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate your time today. I mean, let's leave our viewers with something. I mean, obviously, this is not a financial thing, guys, but what's your prediction coming to our first quarter for Bitcoin and Ethereum? Let's use the bigger guys for 2026. Any ideas in your head?
I think that it will be around the 90s, higher 90s probably. I see the next couple of months with big volatility, like it has been happening, but I'm very bullish about next year regarding Bitcoin and Ethereum. I see an all-time high because we need to remember when gold is in all-time high, like it's now, it's not a good sign.
Right. No, I agree with you. My predictions and my charts that I'm reading, I'm looking in the 115 to 125 range was where I'm going to throw it out there, and we'll see what happens there. I also see Ethereum taking a big jump, and I'm a huge XPR Army fan as well. So, we'll see what happens in those ones. And I got a bunch of different tokens and things that we're having fun with that you and I play with. Well, listen, buddy, happy holidays. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you soon. Today, we'll start this back up in another 2 weeks as well and get another episode out. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed. If you got any questions, please hit us up, send us an email, send us a WhatsApp, and we'll get back to you.
Yes, and well, happy holidays to everybody, and see you in 2026.